Up next on DiCHiPi Unfiltered.
Well, trying to find other ways to make it's all about. I always say that if something doesn't work, just find other ways to push, but not forgetting your goal. So I think that's what she was doing, trying to find other ways to survive and while still not forgetting her goal.
For me, it's become like a little bit masochistic in the sense that
So, I
I
break
think
it down. Masochistic.
in the sense that so masochistic ke gore
We are
you-
just girls, man. Please, you have to break it down nicely. Just a girl.
just a girl.
DiCHiPi Sauda. Welcome to another episode of DiCHiPi Unfiltered with me, Barbara Moachi, as your host. And today I'm very excited because we'll be talking all things business, entrepreneurship, as well as brand building. So if you're all about chasing your bag, chasing your dreams, make sure that you stay tuned in because this is an episode just for you. And I'm not alone. Today I'm with Miss Azande. How's it, babes? I really hope we sing today.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
Well, you hope that
My
we sing
dream
today?
is that we sing today.
Why?
I feel like the people haven't gotten enough singing from us.
ne?
So today is just one of those episodes where I'm
Yes,
like, let's be
yeah.
ourselves. Let's really be
Actually,
unfiltered
you
and
know
let
what?
rip.
You're
Who
right.
knows? We might win a Grammy after this. That's my goal in life.
You're
But
right.
how are you, Miss
yeah.
Ma'am? Today we're talking
good,
money.
I'm good.
Huh?
How are
Ke
you,
itse
my
o rata
darling?
tjhelete. O ngwanyana wa
doesn't?
ditjhelete,
Who
chasing girls
doesn't?
down the street.
Oh man, like Miss Jenny has been so crazy, from chasing people down the street to working at a kota place, DJing and that not working out for that time. But it just goes to show when it comes to businesses, it's not so one-dimensional, So, and I think that's why I'm excited for today's guest as well, because he does a lot of things, So he'll just help with giving us advice in terms of how has he managed to do that, because Mpume struggled a lot, But yeah, very excited.
Yeah, and I think what I'm really excited about with today's guest
Yeah.
is the fact that his story is actually one that I don't think a lot of people know.
Yes.
So one thing about your character in DiCHiPi is that she goes through so much hardship where her parents expect her to have a certain amount of money and then
Yeah.
contribute to the household, but they
Yeah.
don't actually know what it takes for you to be making the kind of money
They
that they
don't.
think you're making.
Yes, yeah.
And I think Maps' story is one of those where when someone looks at him from the outside, it's like, oh, what will Maps tell us about
Yeah,
building money?
true.
He was born into money.
Yeah.
But he actually wasn't born into
Yeah.
that kind of money. There was actually an interview I watched and he spoke about how at the time his father was earning like 600 rand a match.
Wow.
Which is wild when
That
you think
is-
about it.
you are lying.
That's crazy, right? What? That's crazy. The Maps Maponyane.
No.
Yeah, so obviously we'll ask him, fact check.
Yes.
I don't know. But it came out of his mouth in the interview. So
Yeah.
maybe he meant 6,000. We don't know.
We
but
don't know.
Even if he meant 6,000, like
Yeah,
for
but
someone
still.
that big who the
Yes,
whole country
yeah.
knew and is a soccer legend, you would think that he's got gang
Yeah.
money. And as a result, people would assume he's a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
Right? But he actually built everything that he has from
For
the ground up,
himself, yeah.
which is similar to what your character goes
Yes,
through.
yes, Mpume. And you know what's crazy about Mpume? Like the mother's always bashing her, but like you need to stop doing this. You need
Get a
to
real
find
job.
But she's the one that wears her weaves.
Yes.
And she's like, yo, I
She's
know
the
I'm
one
wearing your
without a
weave,
real
but
job.
like, and I'm just like, but you would guess what I'm doing, So yeah, man, I really am excited.
But at this point in the episode, where is Mpume?
I think she had been through a lot. I think so at this time she was really just getting to find her self-worth, getting to self and really having a kind of direction, because watching DiCHiPi from episode 1 to 13, she had been through a lot. So now she was just accepting herself and really trying to redirect her narrative. Yes, yeah.
But Loki also giving up on her dream, eh?
Yeah, well, trying to find other ways to make it's all about. I always say that if something doesn't work, just find other ways to push, but not forgetting your goal. So I think that's what she was doing, trying to find other ways to survive and while still not forgetting her goal. Yeah.
But I need that babe to get some advice. So let's have a look at Mpume's journey so far, and then after the journey, we'll have our guest in studio. Hit it, DJ.
Ma. Leki nagana hore yabona mangase nje ngishaya isandla nasethi ngizokulethela nje crowd especially laba abaphuma emsebenzini.
My sister, bheka la, look around. Bona singidinga usizo. Ngiyachuna yonke lento ngiyiwani. Angidingi usizo lakho.
Cha bengaqondile kanjalo. ngiyabona futhi ukuthi ushodela ama-waiter kanti nginayo experience mina ngizokushayela half price.
Yeah, sure. Usithume lady.
Okay, enough. I am here, and this is not how you do it. Let me actually show you how we do it. You're supposed to match the beats and then cut into it. Not just chop it like it's onion. You see? Match and fade. Simple.
Right, DiCHiPi, the moment that we've been waiting for, South African businessman, media personality, and overall cool guy, Mr. Masego Maps Maponyane. Yeah.
What's up, guys? Jeez, loving the vibes already. We just said hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so good. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
No, thanks for fitting us
DiCHiPi
into your
UNFiLTERED.
busy schedule.
Hey, this is kind of cool. This is a nice vibe. I like the setup. I like everything that you've put into it. Love the details. Love the atmosphere. And thank you for being so warm and welcoming.
But when his words of affirmation, your love language. Because he just came here and said, affirm. I affirm you. I affirm you. Love that. But you are here to save the day, Maps, because Miss Mpume over here is a disaster of a brand, a disaster of a business, and just a disaster of a babe. And I think for us, having you on the
You're
podcast.
always so encouraging.
Me, I am. I really am. I'm everyone's cheerleader.
So supportive.
I really am. I'm the most supportive person.
Disaster
in my
of a
friend
DJ.
group, actually.
Is that what you're gonna say next?
I was actually gonna say she yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you too, Kisana.
But babes, she's a work in progress. Let's put that. A loving, talented, potential field. Work in progress. And I think your story is one that really resonates with us a lot because you've obviously built a really great, in our opinion.
Thank you.
You've built a really great brand. Words of affirmation coming your way. It's going to be great. But you're also such a cool guy. Like just sitting with you, like a normal person that you'd meet down the road. So it's really cool that we have you for this conversation. And I stalked you a little bit, did some digging. And I found out that your very
Last
first...
time that happened in the court case, but I hear you. Carry on.
Ah, okay. Not a real one, a light one, just on the surface. But I heard that at the age of 7, you drafted your very first contract.
Oh, damn,
Right?
yeah.
No.
Yes,
Yeah.
dude. In grade 1, what were you thinking about?
Oh no.
I was thinking about a crush. That's what I was thinking about.
What?
At 7 years old, right? And then that ended up in a piggy bank being filled and you bought a little bicycle and there's a whole big story behind that.
Yeah.
But I'm more interested in how does a 7-year-old even know what a contract
It's
is?
actually so scary how accurate that is. It's very rare that you hear your childhood stories being retold to you. That's actually never happened before. Yeah, when I was 7, I drafted my first contract because for a long time I struggled with not being able to. I struggled with no, right? So whenever we would go, I don't know, go to Shopong and get some groceries or whatever, we'd get to the cashier, get like chocolate or mazimba, whatever it might be, and my parents just like, isn't you know, like with your own money you can do that. With your own money you can do this. You can, and all the time was with your own money. On the rare occasion, obviously, you know, that would happen in terms of getting something that I might ask for. But otherwise, it was always like I had to make my own money to be able to get whatever I might have wanted. So I started figuring out, even before. So I started thinking of ways that I could possibly make my own money. So I heard about, like, I think I started to be familiar with this concept of a contract. And so
From where?
What were you watching?
I don't know. I've always like read a lot. I've always like enjoyed,
okay.
and as soon as I could read, I like dived into books and always asked lots of questions. And I think it was also from, you know, having parents who spoke openly about what was happening with their lives at work. And I think I maybe heard that word somewhere from them. Anyway, I don't even think I formally understood it as a contract, but it was like a deal I was making, Luana. So this contract was 5 lines of basically saying, if every night I help with cooking, to, you know, my mom and my dad.
Which is your job, technically.
Which is your job already. I mean, in a way, I'm like, I'm kind of trying to reverse the system, manipulate the system here.
Yeah.
I think I had at the end there to also make sure that the TV is working, which really meant I could, you know, TV. Oh, and then also I would watch my parents car every weekend. If I did those things, then they would pay me R1 a week, and that was the contract. And and then as soon as I started like making that kind of R1 coming in, I would go try spend it, and then my mom would say, no, if you hang on to more R1, put it in this piggy bank. She bought me a piggy bank as a gift. Put it in here. Yeah. You can make more to buy yourself a bicycle one
Why is
day.
your mother not doing those things?
And then that's yeah, we need to talk about her, and
no,
that's another story altogether.
Yeah.
You would had a bunch of your own vinyls. You wouldn't be in the situation you're
I
in
know,
right now,
which my dad stole from me.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
That's another story we'll get into. But I then like was able to buy like my first bicycle after 2 years of doing it. It was hard to save that
2 years
long.
of R1,
You
bought
know?
a bicycle.
Yeah.
And it was a real learning moment. I think
Yeah.
on the odd occasion I'd get a R2. On the odd occasion I would go starting I don't know, something for the house. You know, maybe add
That's so real though.
maybe add more into the
Yes, yeah.
but like it taught me the importance of saving and the bigger picture, and not wanting instant gratification, and thinking about the future, and how you can just achieve so much more if you're willing to be patient and put in the time.
That's good.
Yeah.
And don't, kind of when it comes to just like that whole process, trust in the process and what can come from the end of it. And then it inspired me to get smarter with business. Like I would take marbles that I would get given as a gift and then go and sell them or play with other people to win their marbles, and then sell
Then you
those
sell
on
their
and then it's just like
Wow.
you take a different way. So all those kinds of ways, and I think that's where my love for entrepreneurship and business came from.
I think that's just so beautiful, like hearing you say this, because a lot of people who don't know, looking from the outside, would think that you've had it easy, being like the son of the Maps Maponyane. So no, people don't know.
I didn't know he was knighted. That V was so strong, as if he got knighted into
I
the
think you one and only.
So you
Our
wouldn't
father's
think,
heroes. Imagine.
so you wouldn't think that you'd had a childhood like that,
Yeah, I mean, look, like until like in my early years, until eventually we moved to like Naturena. And my dad was a footballer, sure, and he was everywhere, but this was a time when soccer wasn't professional. He still had to work a few jobs. People don't understand, although like those guys who were the AFCON winning 1995, they were still, pondering somewhere else, because football, had so many. I mean, now AFCON came obviously post apartheid, but before that there were sanctions, and so it wasn't something that was able to be professional. All the footballers that were playing there on the daily in my dad's era were working at Body Pick and Pay or car dealerships or were plumbers or whatever it was, because you played for the passion. And then a little bit of money on the side. And football didn't really pay that much, even if you're a big football star. These days it's different. Obviously now it's like and you'll joke now and again and speak about how in terms of financially he was born at the wrong time, but in terms of the real passion and love for football, he was born at the right time, because obviously that landscape's changed a little bit locally. So we were always taught to work hard. We were always taught to stretch whatever we were able to in any kind of way, make the most of our resources, make the most of the people we would meet, and try and see if we could expand from that and be as resourceful as possible. My father really, I think, started to make a little bit more of his career after football. And working in different spaces. But in terms of it being, making a real living off of that, there's as many sacrifices as any other parent.
Not Mpume's mom.
Not Mpume's mom, not at all. And I think for me, just digging more into not your childhood, but like young adulthood, you go from all of that to then now having to start building a brand.
Yeah.
But things like Instagram were only invented in like 2014,
No, exactly.
2015.
Yeah.
But you already catching publications' eyes, like your Cosmopolitan, GQ, they already seen you, oh, man of the year,
Yes,
what of the year.
yes.
How did that process look like? How did you get into all of that? Because I know you went to school to study a Bachelor of Arts. Was it in your cards to become a Beyonce?
No, it never was. When I finished school, I basically had my parents say that they had come to a point where my dad had a company at the time, and his company got liquidated, and my mom had been unemployed for a couple of years. So they had essentially said that, unfortunately, your school has put us through a lot of stress.
Ziyakhala manje.
And ziyakhala manje.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so they're like, you're on your own. Go out into the world, you're on your own. We know you want to go to this varsity or this varsity, but we can't afford that. So I took a forced gap year,
Sure.
and I needed to make some sort of a plan for myself to save that year to go to varsity the following year. And that's where I really just started putting myself out there as much as possible in different ways, willing to do anything.
Yeah.
Working in retail, working as an assistant, trying to get involved in anything with anyone that would allow me to. Obviously, nothing dodgy.
Yeah, we don't know.
But like just the piece job, anything that would
Yes.
be able to make things work. And I got lucky one day when I got a call from my old school teacher that said, "There's this TV show that's looking for a young man who loves sport, that knows a lot about sport, that played rugby, Goskolong, and is good in front of."
What a betrayer. You went and played rugby. Come on, Maps. Come on now. No, sorry, anyway.
I played many sports, Goskolong, but
yeah.
rugby was one of them.
Yeah.
And would be good in front of the camera and could maybe try his hand at presenting, and they wanted someone that was young. So I asked about when the audition was, and they told me it was the next day, and I said, tomorrow. I mean, I have no idea what I'm stepping into, but then I thought of all the interviews I've seen on like sports shows and everything, and I started mimicking, what's the word I'm looking for? I started setting up different scenarios where I'd interview myself as being the coach and the interviewer, back and forth.
That's work.
Yeah.
And with rugby, it was always quite funny because it's another odd thing you have to get used to. So, more spilling, and I'm just like, coach, so it wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, beer. Oh, Kondisi beer. Yeah.
But no, that never. I always just spoke as normally as possible. The coaches, though, were always like, "Yeah, well,
I've always
it was,
wondered, is that a thing with rugby? Like, do you have to have that?
I
it's
think
it's
so.
the machismo. It's like they all have to be these macho guys.
Oh man, stop
it's
it.
it's fragility.
Ah.
It's fragility. If we call it what it is, it's fragility.
You're going to start a fight, man.
But,
Start a fight.
So yeah, and then I got the job. Then, like when I went for audition the next day, and that started kind of my TV presenting journey. And then I somehow got into the modeling world and was still working at Akajo. And then I was the PA for a lady called Lucilla Boyson, who was the director for SA Fashion Week, because that was another thing I was interested in. And I was studying at the same time, doing all of this, because I'd managed to save that first year doing all of those things, and I carried on, and then it just grew from there in different ways.
And somebody who I guess is no stranger
Yeah.
to gerezing and doing a million different odd jobs to kind of get her money is Mpume. And in the very first episode of DiCHiPi, you see her chasing down the slave queen on the street. Like, so she sells weaves.
Like, yes. So
She stole your wig.
no, she didn't steal it. So Mpume has
No,
one.
that was stealing my baby.
Well, technically,
She ran away without paying.
Yes.
That's stealing.
That's
Well,
thievery.
I mean, you have to find a way to work with your customers. So, I mean, that way didn't work, I guess. this.
So you just thought, let me put on blast on social
Let me
media.
just, like go after what you want. So I think it also leads me to my next question, handling so many different things. With Mpume, we've seen her fail so
I'm
many times.
imagining you as a lawyer, Mpume, and you're just like, my clients wasn't stealing. They were just going after what they want. You take it and go after what you want.
Yes, literally.
Yeah.
That's it.
So your dad really was a deadbeat then. It makes you think that's right. Okay.
So many
Well,
shots fired.
listen.
Oh,
Anyway,
my word.
I'm listening.
But yeah, as another person who does a lot of things, obviously you've faced failure. How did you deal with that? And what are what advice would you give Mpume out there, or someone who's out here trying and
Keep trying. Honestly.
see? This is what I always say.
Keep trying. That's what you always say.
Yes, well, the Azande, not Mpume.
Yes.
Oh, that's okay. So I don't know what you refer to as right now. Like, who are you in this moment?
Yeah.
But with the reason I reacted like that is that you had to have Losha be like, don't stop. What do you mean? Mzansi's about to know you.
Yeah.
Even with her, Mr. Scott, please come on. Like, you gotta.
Yeah.
Like you were that person who was just doubting yourself.
Yeah.
Your character was that person that was doubting themselves, and I think it's important that even when you're in those situations and you've got your back up against a wall and it seems like nothing's going to go your way,
Yeah.
that's really when you go even harder.
Yeah.
For me, it's become like a little bit masochistic in the sense that
So who are
I
breaking
think-
down masochistic.
in a sense that so masochistic ke gore
We are
you-
just girls, Maps. You have to break it down nicely. Just a girl.
just a girl.
Yes, Massachusetts. You're on.
So Massachusetts is amazing, yeah. It's basically like you like to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, or you like to see yourself suffer. That's really masochism. Then you've got someone who's sadistic who likes to see other people suffer.
Yes, okay.
So I'm masochistic in the sense where unless there's a huge chance of failure in a risk I'm about to take, or there is a thing I'm trying to pursue and it's not going the way I need it to, I can see that it's just not really working out. If I really believe in it, I'll go at it again and again and again and again, even if it's not giving me the results that I'm looking for, because I know that in the end, all that work and all that constant perseverance and resilience and resistance against the no will eventually, on the other side of it, be completely worth it. And I think that's the thing I always take away from failure and from the possibility of struggle and challenges and fear. If I don't have that feeling in my body when I'm about to start something, pursue something, that there's a huge possibility of it, then I actually don't even go for it. I don't like the stable, sure thing, because I know that I'm really just being safe. I'm not
Yes.
pushing any boundaries. I'm not stepping out of my comfort zone, and I'm not going to be doing anything that's really worthwhile. And I think for me, it's important to always push myself, push my potential, and I think I speak about it often. My two biggest fears are essentially merely existing,
Yeah.
and second, being mediocre.
Deep.
And I think it's important to keep pushing those boundaries so that you can really find what makes you feel alive and give yourself the best shot at standing out and showing what you have to offer and getting that DJing career going, because you're the one who didn't give up no matter what, and everyone will remember how tough it was and how even when everything was against you, you still kept doing it. And now look at where you are. And it just makes the victory of it, the success, just so much more beautiful, so much sweeter. And that's also, I feel, where longevity comes from as well.
Speak on it.
The people who come and go, it comes to them too quickly. They haven't put in the work. We saw during COVID where
Start preaching now.
we saw during COVID where you saw the trying to use the right words and watch my language. You saw the BS kind of non-real,
Facades.
the facade. Yeah, all of that get filtered and discarded during that period because there's nothing that they actually had to offer during this period, at the start of it especially. And the people who really had that talent and that staying power stayed through that and kept kind of rising through it, if that makes sense. So I feel like you put yourself in a good position when you're willing to take all the knocks, because you get to just, you get to
But it's
learn
tough.
all the ways to, you take all those hits and you end up getting so much stronger from those hits. And it needs to be tough. Like, otherwise, like, everyone would be doing it.
That's real. Go big or go home, I get. Low risk, low reward. High risk, high reward.
Exactly.
So my question then becomes, when do you know to pivot? Because you are pushing until, when do I say, I'm done hustling now, I'm done taking the bare minimum, I now have worth and I want more?
I mean, I'm trying to like understand your question in a different way. And I think it's kind of, it goes a little bit against what I'm saying, in a sense that, you know your worth from the work that you put in. But I think you only get to that point once you're in a position that you've put in so much work that you start to build a certain level of authority that you can now be in control of the things that you want to pursue. You're in that position. Because the reality is that, you know, we have a lot of people say to us, or that is preached all around, and we consume it, but people are just like, focus on your dreams, follow your dreams.
Follow your heart.
Get up, follow your heart. And you think of like a South African or African context, follow your heart, follow your dreams.
Who's going to pay the
Like,
bills?
who's going to pay? Exactly. I need to go and start, like, I need to go pack those shelves. I need to
100%.
I need to be going clean those bathrooms, whatever I can to survive first before I can follow anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to be following. Are you following me into poverty if I do that? Like, you need to go through those kinds of challenges. I always, like, whenever I have those kinds of conversations, it's like, it's not that easy for anyone to just follow that. But if you can put in the basics in place, and then in the gaps that you aren't doing that, what you need to survive, you're kind of committing to your real passion or your love, and chip away at that, eventually something will come to fruition for you, right? But it's something, I guess, where when your time comes, it comes. You know, there isn't that moment. But how long are you willing to wait? You know, which goes back to whenever I ask myself that, like, how long am I willing to wait? I always rebuttal that question with, how badly do you want it?
Not one to wait. That's my thing. I'm like, we've been waiting. Hey? We've been waiting. And I think especially in the scene that Mpume is in, where she's a DJ, she's taking free gigs, she's doing all these different things. It's tough because then there are also people on the other side of the industry that will always be takers.
Yeah.
And they're willing to take the cheapest, most freest.
I mean, especially with Mpume and like having the option of, hey, I could do this if I have to sleep with Ronald. But like, I don't want to, you don't want to degrade yourself to that.
Yeah.
Because also, then you also are just another one of those. Then you definitely won't last, because
A
everyone
statistic.
always knows, like, you just got you with favors.
Yes.
And you're probably not even that good as well, because you haven't had to put in the work to get there. So I think, like, that's where I really have a lot of respect for Mpume. Where she's like, okay, I'm willing to do just about anything, but not that.
Did you have like somewhat of a mentor in anything that you've done?
Everyone who was a mentor of mine, I honestly feel like they were my mentor against their own will. Like,
teach us.
Like, I think and I'm so glad you bring that up, because I think the most important thing, I mean, if anyone out there is usually looking for direction, like, the most important thing you can find yourself is a really good mentor. And our biggest lacking thing, I think, in this country when it comes to career guidance, helping with the business, wanting to follow some sort of journey of your dreams or path is that we don't have a culture of having a mentor.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a rare luxury to have a mentor. If you go anywhere around the world, you have a casual conversation, in the entrepreneurial field. I'll meet a lot of tech entrepreneurs from the States and Europe, and it's a casual conversation when they're just like, yeah, I was chatting to my mentor the other day and he was saying this and that, and I'm like, damn. Okay. Like all of them, they have mentors, they've had them for years, they're all, as a result, very successful because of those mentors. And yeah, it's not a thing because sadly, there's also that whole thing of, people wanting to just keep it all to themselves, not being as forthcoming with all the ways to help out those who are coming behind them, sending the lift up. And for me, when I say it was against their will, I was always that annoying kid, like asking questions nonstop. So people I would meet, I'd end up like hassling them. Like I even think of being the PA for this lady, Lucilla Boyson. Like I went to ask if I can work at SA Fashion Week. Is there anything I can do? She's like, no, I actually don't hire men. I'm like, please, like, trust me, I'll change that. Just give me a chance. I'll do whatever you need me to. And, she's like, no. I'm like, no, but I promise you I can do this. And I was just persistent and annoying, really, until I showed what I could do. And then from that point onwards, now we have this relationship where I can just like constantly be asking questions. I meet anyone else who, as a result of, working in in retail, I was working at Akajo. Remember Akajo back in the day? And people would come in and it would be someone that is just a customer and they tell me about what they do. And then now I'm asking all these questions and I'm asking for advice. And I think like what's always helped me is asking, like never being too proud to just ask. And till this day, I always still just ask. And I've had a great deal of mentorship as a result, beyond like parents giving advice here and there, but great deal of mentorship as a result from constantly asking and never being in a position where I didn't feel like, or where I felt like I, needed to hold in whatever I wanted to know. And that's why I say, again, it was against their will because they don't know they were my mentors. But I would, the biggest mistake you could make as well was give me your number. Because I'd like
call you, hey.
Any moment, hey, so tell me about this. Or just obviously pick up the phone and call, or can you talk? I just want to know about, and all those things helped. So mentorship is incredibly important. Unfortunately, it's not a formal structure here. It should be a formal structure, but I think you can find mentors around you. Just put yourself out there.
So if I'm in a space where I would want Maps to be my mentor, but I don't get to bump into you casually, how would I go about doing that? I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for a friend.
No. Hey. Yeah, I mean, look, because I'm so passionate about the whole topic around that, I have a number of people who I do mentor. And the danger with that is you need to be able to give those people as much attention as possible.
Yes.
I think you start to become unhelpful as a mentor if you are thinly spread and you actually can't help with your advice or anything because you don't have the time to spend time with your mentee. So I am at a point right now where like I feel like I've reached the right cap of people, but I do get people who send emails and ask questions, and whenever it's something I feel like I can help with, absolutely. I'll just sometimes I'll just sit on a Sunday if I have some time and I'm just relaxed and I'll just respond to some questions if I can. And if I can't, I'm not going to leave you on red either. I'll just tell you that I'm sorry, I don't think I'm the guy that can help you with this. Now, either point you in the right direction or at least you've got a response. I hate it when, we've all been on that come up and we just want the response. Just let us know.
Just guide a young girl.
And you'll be shocked. Some people will say, I know you haven't helped me, But thank you for your response, because that's actually helped me know that there is hope. Because if you can respond, then then hopefully I'll be able to connect with the person that can help me. I think I'm always just wary of the people though, who are looking to cut corners.
Yes, because that was what I was going to follow
Yeah.
up with. Like, there's so many people who want to have the work, sweat, blood that you've already
Yeah.
put in, and I want to kind of fast track it by having you as a mentor. But I heard that the best mentors will always handpick their mentees. Like, you'll walk around and like see someone say, "Ooh, I see a little potential in there. Let me take you and put you under my wing." So if you are a mentor, what do I need to be, or the qualities that I need to have in order to look attractive to those looking to fill their bucket of mentees?
Probably all the qualities you just spoke about now, which was being willing to work, being determined and persistent, and I guess have the work ethic that you feel requires for you to get to where you're trying to get to. Obviously, great level of ambition, and not looking for the easy way. Like, really just willing to do whatever it takes that will get you to where you're trying to go to.
Oh, what a helpful man. Thanks so much for your time. But we've reached the point in our conversation where it's time for the hot seat. And basically, the hot seat is where we ask you 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe, hot fire questions, and you have to answer them in 60 seconds or less. And when now you are a man of many words, apparently. So I need you.
You see the
to
postures
try to get
changing,
that.
everything.
Yes, thank you. It
I'm
shows
gonna
that you're
try.
focused.
I'm honestly
Must
gonna
I
try.
say one sentence?
You heard from my answers. It would say, "Hey, I'm not gonna be," but let's see.
Which is
Let's see.
good.
I can try.
It shows you've got the heart of a mentor. You've got the heart for the youth of South Africa. Wow. Anyway, before I get into shenanigans,
Yes.
number one, what are your top 3 tips for building a strong and lasting brand?
My top 3 tips. I'd say firstly, be authentic. Know what sets you apart, and kind of focus on that. And it links into these two, but I'd say then do that over and over again as well as you can, so that you're seen as an authority in those things.
What was that thing for you?
What was which thing?
The thing that stood out, that set you apart from the crowd when you were starting out?
I think not following kind of like the status quo of what everyone else was doing. So kind of would walk my own journey. And then, even small things like being, I don't know, let me think of something that's like surface level. Like even committing to wearing my glasses. And then not being, like sticking to just being who I am, and not going and get caught up in things that are not in my personality. Finding, like initially, I think it was around the fashion world, and that being something that I felt like I could become an authority on. Being recognized for a lot of that. I think those kinds of things all played a role.
All right, 60 seconds is over now.
Is it 60 seconds per question?
I do have one.
Yeah, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I thought it was for all of them, because I was like, I failed hard at that.
No.
Okay.
Good question.
Okay, and what's the biggest misconception people have about you?
That it's been a smooth, easy journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say there's probably nothing to add to that. Also, probably that I'm unapproachable.
Yeah.
And what
But-
approachable?
Why? Like,
Yeah.
what do you have like a...
I think because of it's other like societal things that contribute to that. So I think it's like being in suits often,
Okay.
wearing
And you're from TV,
glasses,
Pella.
you're on
Yes,
TV,
You say massacres.
all those things. Saying words like,
What am I going to say to you when I see you? Okay, good evening, sir, of the day. Tough.
But and probably that I take myself quite seriously. But I'm actually I'm a big clown. I think what I do like though around that is probably the recognition that I take my work seriously.
Okay.
So, but I don't take myself too seriously. Sometimes the unapproachable thing is nice, because then
60
people
seconds.
can, like,
Yeah, they
Mr.
just...
Massacre,
they can keep their
50
distance.
seconds.
Yeah, they can.
But
yeah.
no, I'm
Yeah.
Perfect. What is your top tip for starting your own business?
Starting, firstly.
Okay.
Just start with whatever you have, wherever you are, with whoever is willing to support you. And, you live in an age now where you can have access to so much. We're doing this podcast, and we're lucky we have a couple, professional cameras, but we could do this podcast with a phone camera.
Yeah, true.
You upload those things online. You're wanting to be a presenter, a host. So many people have done incredibly well from just starting their own thing,
Yes.
putting their phone against, a couple of books to balance,
And
then planning board, and then
Sorry,
that's what you just then do and put it out, and someone eventually will
True.
see you, and you'll get the recognition you're looking
Okay,
for.
I think I have one more.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
all right. So, what is it that you wish you knew when you were 19 that you know now about businesses and succeeding and all of that?
And fame.
And well,
That's a really good question. What is it that I didn't know that I wish I knew then?
Yes.
Probably that. Oof.
Yeah, you are a deep thinker. Wow.
Yeah.
No, but it's understandable.
Philanthropic.
There's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many. Philanthropal. Is that what you said?
Philosophical.
Yes.
Yeah. I would probably say that that I'm going to get burnt a lot, and that my trust is probably going to be my Achilles heel. That I wish I'd maybe gave people a little bit less benefit of the doubt, and learn to read contracts better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have paid as many school fees as I have. So you pay the price for looking over a few of those things, trusting people who maybe manage you or whatever it might be, and you find yourself in a lot of difficult positions. So I'd say that, and then the kind of positive spin on that is that you actually can make it and be successful being a good person. Or a nice person.
I love
That
that.
is so
I love
sweet.
that.
Because I was always told from a young
Yeah.
age, like,
Ubari wena, na you.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And so that actually spurred me on to be like, I could change a sip. Like, I just want to be kind to the next person, and if it works out, it works out. But I think it's possible, and I think it's working out.
Yeah. I love that.
And I think your life today is a testament of how far good hearts go and good
Yes,
people
yeah,
go in the
yeah.
industry. Because I think a lot of times people want to paint the people in Joburg as, but don't, mingle with the people in Joburg. But I think the fact that you are still yourself, you're still just, hi, please. Don't add me in that equation. But the fact that you're still so giving with your time, I think I really want to thank you for that. And I really hope that everything that you've poured into the youth gets poured back into
Thank
you.
you.
So thank you so
Tenfold.
much for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and that's how we wrap up today's episode. You've heard it first from Maps. We must read books, guys. Learn about mascaricious and Achilles heel.
Stop
and
it.
all the big things in the world. But this is episode 11. There were 10 more before this, and I really want to encourage you to look back at JiK'iZiNTO's YouTube channel because we've got so much goodness for you to learn about. Otherwise, until next time, from me, Bobs. Bye-bye.